Hey guys, welcome back. This will be the 20th tutorial, and we're just going to continue off from here in our host where we added this text called notice text. So when we back in the list, when we click on the button, if host is equal to false, then it will load the map and load up everything. But if it is true, then root dot notice underscore text dot text is equal to, and we'll just say we call string map spacebar, then plus, and this map, which is whatever this number is, the number is this map, plus. So if the map name was Bob, it will be map Bob, then open string again, spacebar, has been selected, full stop, and close that door. So map Bob selected, and we may need to increase the size of this to make it bigger so that it'll be able to fit everything. So if we load that, connect to server will go to this connect here, host server will go here, and it won't load anything because we did not give it the code to load anything. One thing, shrinking this will actually make the text come out a bit slimmer, more narrow, and using device fonts it won't actually load up. So just copy status text above here and replace it with IP text, and copy it again, replace it with notice text. Now in the actions panel, under all these smartbox things, just copy all this code here from up to loads make save file all the way down. Copy that, and in the host below everything, then paste. uh, we can take out clear button and the function add lister because we don't want to give the host a function to clear maps inside the host. So this will only be here for that will only be able to clear when you're in the map editor itself. Host server, it loads server, and if you press it, map undefined selected. So at least we know that it works. Alright. That's because we set this mgt list number this number, and this number was actually the name of the map, so it checks for the variable number Bob, which is supposed to be number 1 or number 3, or we can, since he already has a name of the map, so MB has a variable called number, which is equal to the map name. So all we need to do here, since it's mb.onRelease, we can just call one of his variables. So just say map plus this dot number spacebar is selected. So let's test this. I'll just go to the editor and make a proper name for a map. Let's add a tree and a bush. Let's save this. And when we go to host or server and we press it, map test is selected, or map WQE is selected. So we can make this say whatever we want. We can use it to say map quotes is selected. We can set it to be WQE is selected, so test is selected. We can do whatever we like there. And this is IP text.text. So if we scroll back up to where we set with IP text and take out that E from there, and when we host, that is the IP that we used to host from. So if you'd like, you can set that, you can drag this somewhere off where no one will see it, since it's not really useful. So that's what happens when we do that. And now that we want to join, this join button will set host to true. Well, host will already be set to true. So in the chat itself, after we set up my avatar, let's find that. So on join room, clean avatars, get current room, followers equal to whatever, and then set up my avatar. So after we set up the avatar, or we may want to do it before. So before we set up the avatar, we want to load the map. So call a function called load the map, and just this button that says auto format, do not ever press this, because that will mess up the syntax for Smartbox. No matter how many times I say it, I will have to keep saying it because I may forget and may mess up something. This map is no longer necessary since we have our own map, so you can delete that. And we need to drag this called the map. You need to drag the map to our chat. We'll add it to our chat. So copy this and paste it over here. Make sure that it is under the avatar MC. So just click it, select it, and press Ctrl Shift down so that it will load under everything. And back into the code where we said load the map, we actually want to check if it's host. So if global dot is host, then load the map. Else, so if it's not host, then send, we just put this in brackets, send message to host for map information to load map. So that's what it will do if it's not a host. So it will send information to the host called please give me the map details. Then the host will send back the details and it will load the map. So just take that out. So it'll be load map, and all we need to do is copy this code from here and paste it in a suitable place, which I think quite below where it does not mess up any of the code. And this button here to auto format, which makes our code look fancy and nice, never click it. So let's save this, and now we want to check to see if this works. So I'm just going to open up my server. It's been a long time since we've opened the server, am I right? So start, we'll wait for this to load, and one time go back to the first frame of the game where the entire thing loads in the code, and instead of saying go to and stop menu, comment out this and comment login. So it will go to login, since we of course need to log in to be able to play the game. So this is still setting up. Let's test it. I'll log in using Bob and the password that I gave him. Host server, map test is selected, and you can still delete maps individually here but not entirely. So we've selected map test, and we need to connect. It says connected. Oh, the server is not up yet, so let's go back to menu, host server again, map test, let's wait for this. And its server is ready, so let's connected, please log in, join. So it's logged in as Bob. Let's see if it loaded. It did not load. Well, host is equal to true, and we do have a function called load map. So let's check to see if this function is being called after if global is host, load map, and trace being called. Again, I'm logging in with Bob. Selecting test, connect, and join. So it is being called, but the data is not being loaded, because if you go back into the list, new document name would only be set if it was not a host, and we still want the document name to be set if it is the host. So remove this from here and paste it above. So no matter what, it will always load as new document name. We can take out this being called because we know it's being called, and let's check to see if this works. So I'll log in as Steve this time. Host, connect to test, connect, join. So you can see these things appear above this vcam and above the character as well. So we have to deal with the depth values soon. So let's do that right away. So go into the follower where it follows the character and say on clip event load, then this dot swap depths with a number that we think users won't have that many items in their map, such as like 9,999. But unfortunately, if users have 10,000 items, then the 10,000th item might appear above according to their depth values. So just have this as a very large number. And another thing to think about is the map size. The highest we allowed the maps to be user centered map was 999, which is 3 digits, and the objects depth is based on this value here. So the highest object will possibly be less than 9,999. So this is a fair enough number unless you made the map size to be a higher number than that. So the item on the lowest part of the map will have the highest depth value according to the size of the map. So after it's swapped depth, we will want to remove it as well, because if you go back to menu, it will still be there. So after swap depths, in this leave server button, we say root.close connection and the code to close the connection, which is right here. Before we do smartfox.disconnect, say root dot. So that's after we save the x and y value for the characters, of course. Root dot follower. I think we named it follower. So root dot follower dot remove movie clip. That should appear above the objects. And also in the unenter frame, where the player always swaps depths, this should make him appear above the objects. So let's test this. So those objects appear below the camera, but it still appears above Danny. That's because we don't have object depth. When we load the objects, it says on enter frame is equal to root.object loop. but we don't have the function object loop in here. So we have to find that function object loop, paste that below, and the only thing we want to happen here, we only want to find the old depth. To check, well, we don't need to check the depth because when we load the object, it loads with its specific depth. This object loop will go on forever, and this may slow down the game. So instead of doing this here, instead of saying old depth here after the object loop, when we attach the movie itself, after we set the x and y, just put a comma, object depth colon mgt dot object y. Um, that should help. Unfortunately, it did not. Let's try one more thing. So copy the entire object loop, paste that here. Let's see if this function is actually being called. So yes, we can drag objects. The reason why it may seem to appear above the character, I think it's probably because the code, the frame, the layer that this object attaches on is above the characters. So if we copy this character, well, if we take him from here and put him on the same frame as code, then it should work. Nope. Oh well. I'll see what I can do for that in the next episode, but that's all there is for today. Uh, that's it. Bye. I'll see you guys next time.